I think this is our show. Hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name's Brody. I'm joined by my co-hosts Amanda and Brian as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing ranks and hot takes from Brian. By the end of this episode, we'll have a definitive answer on where this piece of Star Wars content ranks amongst
where
the rest.
where this DoTR co-host ranks amongst the rest.
Yes. All right, Amanda, tell us all there is to know about Brian before
So summary. Born in I don't even know what year.
I don't know either. It was a while ago.
Brian, welcome back again. As listeners who are familiar with the show, they've been hearing your voice the last couple of weeks, and we've done a little bit of introducing you here and there. But today we figured we would dedicate a whole episode to really getting to know the Star Wars fan you are and help us all understand kind of then the background of how you will help us rank and debate everything going forward. So we know that you're big into the Star Wars video games. Before this episode, I reached out to you and I asked for you to come up with your cumulative Star Wars ranking, including all of the movies, all of the TV shows, and the canon video games. So I am super excited to see where they ended up. I don't know if you want to start at the top of your list or at the bottom of your list, but I'm excited for a whole general Star Wars session again. It's been a while since we've gotten all through it.
It's been a long moment, and I have a hot take tonight about
Already?
Brian. About
nice.
Brian. I'm staying on topic. I've got one on Brian, and I'm already ready to go. We're on topic tonight. So do we just do what we did at Celebration and just go off of like just the dome and say like top Star Wars movie? What else do we say? Yeah, then we said top, not just your favorite. We'll do that next. What is the best movie, the best show, the best character, and we'll save the hot take. So go ahead, and we might have already done some of this, but you know what? This episode's about you. We're going to cover a lot of stuff we've already covered. So, Brian, best Star Wars movie.
I think it's not even close. That Empire Strikes Back is like the only objectively perfect one. Like, honestly, arguably maybe one of the only few good Star Wars movies, but Empire Strikes Back is like a tier of its own to me.
One of the only few good Star Wars movies. Are you sure you're right for this podcast?
I absolutely believe that, and I will stand by it. I think objectively they're all pretty flawed on an individual level, but how they work together and come together as a trilogy and as a saga is what makes them so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think you and I are going to get along because I totally agree. And there's a lot of things he said that I totally agree with. It's interesting because I thought this last episode when I brought up, I thought Ahsoka's finale was not great. I thought that was going to be like hot take of the year. And then here comes Brian, my Ahsoka the White comes in and just saves the day with the Rohirrim and AKA the whales. So that's been cool to have someone else who's also got a lot more Star Wars knowledge that you and I don't have on the lore stuff. So if he says most of them stink, and he knows so many more Star Wars stories than you and I do, I think he has to be right. Just because he knows so much. All right,
I'm really
Brian.
making that stuff up. So
good. Say it with confidence.
Come across as confident. That's all that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
And not McClunky. Okay, so what is the best show?
It's just, I mean, like on a technical level, Andor, like it is just, it's almost up there with Empire Strikes Back in terms of just how well it executes what it's trying to do. Andor is just objectively incredible. It's not my favorite, but it is. I mean, after season 2, that might change, but I think it is objectively. If we're talking mathematics here, Andor it's just not even close that anything else comes close to the execution of it.
What's the best song?
The best song is actually Anakin's Dark Deeds. And the funny thing about this song is that it's not on the official soundtrack. You can't find it in any of the games. I think George Lucas went out of his way to say, we're going to take this part out of this song. Like, you can find the song in the soundtrack, but the climax isn't in there. It's edited. The
I didn't
version
know
you see in
that.
the movie is incredibly emotionally powerful. I'll sing it for you if you want. But it's so good. Anakin's dark deeds. It's the moment where he's on Mustafar looking out over the lava. Just, I think that is the most incredibly scored moment, the emotional climax of the saga.
I can't believe that's not in the soundtrack.
Wait, how does that go? Is that the do 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 do?
Yeah.
Do 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 do.
But before that is bum 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 bum, and then it just keeps going ham for like 8 measures, and people don't remember that part because it's not in the soundtracks, but it's super powerful in the movie.
I wonder why they took that out.
I love a deep cut answer from Brian already.
Yeah, I think they wanted it to be more impactful in the movie. I think George wanted it to not lose its effect by over listening to it.
See, we lost Christian, who was really lore heavy and picked all the deep cuts, and then Brian came in and is just basically long-haired Christian, keeping this show alive. Okay, Brian. So that's the song. What is
the best Star Wars character?
Yes.
R2 freaking D2.
That's right. I remember we talked about this before.
And yeah, if you don't remember, audience, well, go back to when he was a guest.
R2D2. That's like a bold choice. I would say that's a pretty hot take to say that R2D2 is the best character in the Star Wars franchise. But I love that you come with that perspective.
He's my special little guy.
Yeah, his noises and his voice is so iconic and charming and soothing.
Yeah.
And he saved the day. And the original trilogy is told from he and 3PO's perspective. I think there's a lot more to him. He's got a lot bigger of a hand in the saga than most other droids do.
That reminds me, just off the dome, you know how we were talking about how Lucasfilm could be listening at any point and be trying to, create new content based on our famous suggestions. We need an R2D2 series.
A kids one?
No.
So just dark.
Like
R2
Andor level, but R2.
R2 and Chopper in the Coruscant underground, just busting
Good
heads.
Cop, bad cop.
Oh my gosh, that would be perfect.
I will say there was a video I watched of Chopper's kill count.
Yep.
And I was just like crying, laughing as the totals just rack up. I mean, it's in the hundreds of thousands, which I was stunned. I'm like, oh, Chopper is like committed war crimes.
Those little destroyers or whatever they're called. Yeah, they hold a lot of people. The carriers from Rebels. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. So, yeah, I can't trust Chopper. Kind of makes me think of like, you know how Winnie the Pooh, like anyone has the licensing to him now because after like there's some copyright law where after like, I don't know, 100 years, it's just for free public use.
Yeah.
And they made a horror movie out of Winnie the Pooh. Did you see that trailer?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, wild. It's kind of like that. That's what I feel like this R2 would be. Like, you know, in 2076, someone's like, we're getting an R2 horror movie. Chopper like is actually gonna have saws, and it's gonna be like the Saw movie.
Wow.
Where Chopper like saws you up. And
they get revenge on all of the people in the galaxy that don't believe in droid rights.
Revenge of the Droids. I've actually written a whole fan fiction about this.
What?
About a B1 battle droid that was there from the beginning, who ends up starting a droid rebellion. They're like a third faction, and he's kind of there throughout all the other historical events of the saga. It's incredible. It's going to be an animated series, kind of like with Adventure Time's level of like carefreeness, you know, and storytelling and comedy. I can't wait for y'all to
okay, yeah,
Blop.
we're gonna need you to share some of that with our listeners because that sounds amazing.
His designation is B1-0P for overpowered, but people call him Blop.
Blop.
And he doesn't like it, but he just ends up putting up with it.
Just like a good droids, just take it. I love that because you see in the Clone Wars series, they're basically like abused essentially.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look how Grievous.
But they're droids, so that means that you believe in droid rights if you think that they're being abused. Which has been a hotly contested conversation in previous Duel of the Rings
this is where
episodes.
Brian and I disagree. I don't think they deserve rights as they're not sentient. But that to be said, you can still mishandle a TV as you're setting it up.
You can be abusive to a TV by like slapping it when it's not working.
Yeah, exactly. Like stop.
I would never hit my TV.
Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, I've spent a couple of dollars on mine, and I wouldn't like to break it after one was already broken. And if you buy TV, listeners, on Amazon, just know you may never get them to come pick it up, and they won't want you to return it yourself. So, but just be wary. Be wary. That's its own story. All right.
But I also want to jump in since we're still this is like our getting to know you episode. And even if we come up with some things that aren't totally Star Wars related, you threw out Adventure Time. I am a massive Adventure Time fan.
I just finished it.
You just finished it for the first time?
Good. It's incredible. Yeah.
Oh
and
my gosh.
the other one, the sequels to it as well. Yeah.
Yes. Do you watch Fiona and Cake?
Yeah, I just finished that. It was really deep. I love the Ice King is like my favorite character in that show. So.
I am kind of going back and re-watching Adventure Time. It is so good.
How do you watch it?
On HBO.
Isn't it a kids show?
It is, but it's
squeaky clean. It's clean enough for kids of any age, but it's actually pretty advanced humor, I think. Like it's much more advanced than I thought it would be.
Like you could watch it with your, younger son and be like, you would both be entertained by it, I think. It's funny and silly and also like strangely emotional.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll have to check it out. I don't know why I get that and Rick and Morty. Always mixed up in my head. Like
they have a couple of the same voice actors actually, and some references I think between them actually. So they're kind of adjacent but very different. Tonally.
Is Rick and Morty worth watching? Because I see them all over Fortnite and.
Rick and Morty's great.
Yeah.
Is it better than Adventure Time?
I think it is. At least the first couple of seasons are just like they're incredibly well written.
Yeah.
And smart and philosophical.
You probably don't watch that one with your kids though.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay. Should we go into favorites now?
Yeah, the rankings or what?
No, like his personal favorite character, his personal favorite story.
Oh, that's different than R2,
Yeah, like that was just like what he thought was the best. I'm saying like
the objective best. Oh, sorry, I got a little confused there. I don't know.
All right, well maybe we actually already got all those answers.
Yeah.
So what is
those are mostly by bias.
Oh yeah. So what I think you did say the objective best movie, but and you said objective best show was Andor, but music, would you say objective best is still Anakin's Dark Deeds on Mustafar?
Yeah, probably. It's so operatic and such a climax. It's so it really is just like
better than the Force, better than the main theme, better than all of it.
Yeah. It hits
better than end titles / celebration on Endor.
Better than
Yub Nub?
Better than Yub Nub. Better than I'm a big fan of the Canto Bite theme. I don't care what you think of that scene.
What about Jedi Rocks?
Any of that. Canto Bite is the best in-universe music. It's amazing.
He said
Canto Bite theme is so
He's
incredible.
A good mix.
I'm a clarinet player, so it's like I'm a little biased because there's a banging solo. They switch between the clarinet and the steel drums, and it's just so good. I think it's better than the Cantina Band. It's some of John Williams' best.
Takes. He's got like elements of you, me, and Christian. If we all had a baby.
And his name is Brian.
His name is Brian.
Hi. Yeah, that's me.
He's the dual of the ranks baby. Like he's even got a fan film going. Like
that's amazing.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud. I haven't actually done mine. I've written mine out too. It's sitting on a shelf. One day, we have the tech, we have the team, but we don't have the time.
That's it.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. All right. So objective best character then. Is it still R2?
I would say Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is like the best exemplification of a Jedi, especially like his portrayal in the Clone Wars. His moment with the Duchess is the most powerful to me in that show, where he says, "I would have left the Jedi Order for you if you had asked." That just like made Obi-Wan the best character to me.
So my question with that then, when you think of Obi-Wan and Anakin, do you think of Matt Lanter, or do you think of like Hayden Christensen? When you think of these characters and the voices that are synonymous with them, who do you more associate with?
I think with Obi-Wan, I definitely have crushed on Ewan McGregor quite a bit, and I can't get him out of my head, so it's always Ewan. But I think Matt Lanter's voice, it really has made a deeper impact than Hayden Christensen's performance on me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Which is, look.
But we do have a lot more content featuring Matt Lanter to like go off of,
That's fair.
And I also I think Obi-Wan's voice actor, I feel like is more of like I enjoy it, but I feel like it's a caricature of Obi-Wan.
I knew you were gonna say that because I kind of feel the same way too.
Yeah.
Little bit, yeah.
Whereas like Matt Lanter, it's just a completely different direction.
Yeah, it feels really natural.
Yeah. And like
fresh,
like we were at Celebration and I was like listening to him talk and I'm like, you really do have like a great voice. Like he could be a sports broadcaster or whatever, like radio, anything. Amazing voice. And he didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So no, love what Matt Lanter's doing. Hopefully we get more of him. But
so Brian, do you think you're ready to start breaking down like the total ranks?
All 25 pieces of Star Wars media that I have here, I've given a hot take for each one. And this is my personal favorite list. An objective list is going to be a lot harder to do. That's what I tried to do at first. And I realized like,
we want yours. Because like, as a reminder, my personal favorite Star Wars, it's really close. I think number 1 is The Last Jedi. Number 2 is Andor, and number 3 is Empire Strikes Back. Like those are just like my top 3 right off the dome.
Wait, did you say pieces of content?
Yeah.
Period or
Last
Jedi, Andor, and what was the last one you just said?
Empire.
An Empire.
Really?
Top 3.
I love it. All those 3 are pretty up there for me.
Where's Book of Boba Fett in that?
You don't want to know. We'll get into a fight. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
All right, should we start with the objective best and my personal favorite, Empire Strikes Back. It's been my favorite movie since before I could talk. I was asking my mom for the snow video. I love Empire Strikes Back, and I think it actually has the best special edition changes. And I think it's a little ethically ambiguous whether or not you should, special edition someone else's movie that they directed. But I think the changes they made to Empire Strikes Back largely add to the environment and to the mysticism of that movie.
More so than any of the other editions?
Yeah, both A New Hope and Return of the Jedi both have some really cringy stuff.
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh my god, like Jabba on Tatooine definitely is like the biggest offender. Not even gonna touch on Greedo and Han. Han shot first. I'm still on that on that bandwagon.
Of course.
And then of course Jedi rocks. Just unwatchable.
I love Jedi rocks.
Oh my god, that scene is unwatchable.
Yeah, but like, so for you, do you consider the special editions canon over the originals, or are the originals like that's what it is?
I accept the special editions as canon because they're also edited to fit better with the prequels and the digital cinematography. But I am still a big advocate to release the theatrical cuts of the originals. That would make my life as a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
All right, Empire Strikes Back, top in the list.
Yeah, that's what it is for most folks. I mean, that's what we have. We have number 1. I mean, it was we had Rogue One for a while, but then Christian left, and we re-reviewed Rogue One, and now it's number 3. Right now, our number 1 of all the pieces of content we have, and this is, I guess, for new listeners in general, what we have right now.
Just do the first 3, and then we'll go on a little bit later.
Is Empire Strikes Back as number 1. Number 2, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And number 3, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. And then I do just want to say 4 and 5 is Last Jedi and New Hope, only because 6 is Andor. So Andor is not, and for us as a group, it's not better than any of the movies except Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, and Attack of the Clones, and Phantom Menace. But we also put Ahsoka above all of those movies as well.
Yeah, that's rough for me. But I have Andor at 5. Not spoilers, sorry. I don't want to go too far ahead. It's around that same range for me in my personal list. Even though objectively, I think it's probably better than any of the other movies except Empire.
Yeah, I mean, Andor's, it's so enjoyable, but also it's a real slow burn.
So rich, so dark, so gritty.
Yeah.
I'm engaged the whole time.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those shows that actually it executed the okay, we're gonna turn on the burner, but then like every 3 minutes we're just turning it up, just a notch.
That's great. That's a great way to pace a show.
Yeah,
Let
and
him
like
cook.
most of them try to do that and they fail. So that's why for us, we're just like in the beginning, when you have to rank it episode by episode, you're like, this isn't really going anywhere. But by the end, you're like, so at the beginning, yeah, there's a lot of C's, but by the end, you're like, A, like everything, like the payoff's all there. And so, no, I'm sure if you went back and rewatched it knowing everything, I feel like, yeah, it all just gets richer the second time you watch it and you see all the things they built in. I mean, for me, I think once we do watch season 2 of Andor and start reviewing it,
if it's at the same level as the first season ones, then yeah, it's definitely going to jump up there.
I wouldn't so. I don't think it's going to be, I still don't think it's going to be better than Rogue One, but I think it's going to be number 4 for us. I think it's going to be below Empire, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, but it's going to topple Last Jedi and A New Hope.
Okay.
All right, Brian, what are your next ranks?
Yeah. Next one is Revenge of the Sith. It's very similar to y'all's list, actually. Number 2, it's that's always had a place in my heart since it came out. Obviously, one of the best marketing campaigns, by far the best marketing campaign.
Definitely.
The saga, some incredible world building, so many environments, so much action, but so much romance and drama and all that stuff as well. It's got everything, and it's powerful.
Yeah,
it is.
Said.
It's
and
so
well
good.
executed.
What do you think about Obi-Wan and Anakin's fight scene on Mustafar? Because, like, I still don't feel like it looks too choreographed. It's probably because I grew up with it. But I really don't like a lot of the fight scenes in Ahsoka where she's, like, fighting against lightsabers. It feels choreographed. Whereas I loved the gritty, like, Kylo Ren fighting style with Rey.
The physicality.
Yes, from the sequels. I loved that fighting style. And it seems so much more real and realistic. Do you have a preference between prequel versus sequel fighting style?
That's a great question. I was thinking about this today, how like a lot of the prequel fans that bash the sequels for their choreography, like I don't think they really understand how ridiculous the prequel choreography is and how impractical a lot of it is. Like the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin in particular, I love it. I love how it's scored, and it's the scale of it is incredible. But a lot of it is kind of nonsensical and hard to follow.
KG's in the comments saying the fighting over lava makes no sense. They'd both be crispy and charred.
Space lava, it's not as hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just chilling.
Well, and I think it's a good reminder to point out that Steven Spielberg actually choreographed and like storyboarded that specific fight because George Lucas didn't have the time. And I think
for like the
he was like, I just can't do it. Like, let me hand it off to somebody else.
And I know in the documentary.
Yeah, hey Steve, do this for me.
Yeah, George is like, I cheated a lot. After he finishes the Revenge of the script, he's like, there's a lot of they fight in it. So I can totally. I didn't know Steven Spielberg.
What a great writer.
It, but yeah, I think George that makes sense with that moment in the
act better.
Yeah,
just
they talk.
My goodness,
faster and more intense.
All right. So what's number 3?
Number 3 is Rebels. I love Rebels so much. I think it's by far the best story of Star Wars TV, and it's hella slept on. I can forgive the animation. I can forgive the art style after the first. Actually, I didn't watch it as it was coming out. In fact, I saw these YouTube clips of like the world between worlds, and I was really turned off by it. But then after watching it and seeing how those things worked in the context of the story, I was like, okay, this is incredible. Season 2 has the most amazing finale. That would be up there in my best score moments as well. And it's just it changes so much between season 1. After season 1, it just hits the ground running and has amazing characters, great action sequences. It's got everything a Star Wars fan needs.
Yeah.
You know me. I totally agree with that.
I don't know if I could put it over any of these things at number 3. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's lore heavy, but it's not better than Ahsoka.
Yeah, it is.
I'm glad you say that, Amanda, because I know you like Ahsoka more than either of us do.
Yeah, I liked Ahsoka. I'm not like in love with it. Yeah, I thought it started going a better direction towards the end, and I've said this before, but I really think we needed like 4 or 5 more episodes. Like, give us like a 15 episode season and not a 10 episode season.
Here's my take then. Rebels is much better if Sabine is the main character and Ezra has limited screen time, because Ezra is so annoying.
No.
And unbearable.
No.
He's Aladdin.
He's so fun. He's just a goofy little kid. He's just on his own at first, then he comes to love. And
that's sort of my take too, is like when I have heard people criticize Ezra being an annoying character. First of all, every main character in a Star Wars series is annoying. So that checks. But he is also just like really a boy, and he doesn't have a family, and I don't know. I was able to understand his annoyingness probably because I have 2 younger brothers. So it felt like a genuine young boy trying to find his family and fight for a cause and figure out this world that he had to grow up too fast in. So I think that makes his character more believable. We don't want a character that's always going to be like a Mary Sue and a really easy to like character all the time.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like he's just like another version of Luke Skywalker. As you said, doesn't really have parents, has the Force, meets this guy.
Boy, you're really going to hate the hero's journey, because that's how it works. Dude.
Like they're just like, that's like they literally copy and pasted Luke Skywalker's journey.
Well, I hope you know that Luke Skywalker's journey was also not original.
That's all right. Who was Luke Skywalker based on?
The first story ever written by humanity.
Yeah. What was that, Plato?
No, it was way before that.
Socrates or
6,000 BC.
Yeah.
The Mesopotamian. What was that story? The Epic of Gilgamesh. I think it's the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's the same journey. The first story ever recorded. It's.
Can you imagine if George cited that in the end credits of A New Hope?
Epic of Gilgamesh. Some stone tablets found in the
Yeah.
All right. I heard he took a lot of inspiration from Flash Gordon, but that's all I know. And like a bunch of samurai movies. But anyway, yeah, as far as Ezra is concerned, he feels like a copy paste. Sabine is so much more interesting and like not annoying. And I really appreciated her relationship with Kanan. I think Ezra undermines all the value of Luke Skywalker being the last Jedi alive.
Well, then you can apply that to like literally every other Jedi after
so
Luke.
Many of them. I'm kind of annoyed by that trope sometimes, but also like some of these characters are really good, and I think they get a pass.
Like Kanan, good, he died. Ezra, it's like, no, he's still out there. It's like Yoda's like, after I pass last of the Jedi, will you be except Ahsoka and Ezra
and Rey
and so many. Like
they should re-release Empire Strikes Back and edit Yoda to say all of that.
Yeah, it's Return of the Jedi, but I was hoping that Ahsoka would kind of explain that. I was hoping Ahsoka could say something deep about the Jedi Order, and that they could explain that line with some philosophy. I think that'd be pretty easy to do, but I think they kind of were just scared to say anything interesting in that show.
Yeah.
Oh, for real though. Like Ahsoka was afraid to say anything. Period.
They are Boken Jedi.
Boken.
That is the new term that we heard from Baylan Skoll, is what he calls the Jedi who are like trained informally away from the Jedi code. So like Ezra.
All right.
And Rey.
Okay.
All right.
The Boken.
So we got the first 3. What else we got?
We're through 3 of them. We got 30 minutes into the podcast, so we might need to kind of cook through some of these. Battlefront 2 is my 4th favorite piece of Star Wars media. I think the story is a little overhated. I get the criticism is a little rushed, whatever. The new Battlefront 2. Yeah, this is canon. Yeah, I love the old one too. I actually was just playing it with a friend like an hour ago. But the new Battlefront 2 is the most immersive Star Wars experience, period. And it's beautiful, great mechanics, great gameplay, great skins, and just like the textures. It's so detailed. The maps are incredible. They're so screen accurate. Battlefront 2 is just amazing.
I didn't even know we could put video games in this list, because let me tell you,
doing.
Dude, I love the new Battlefront 2 so much. I love it.
Let's jump on sometime.
I need to get, so my PlayStation 4 died, so I need to get a PS5. But I wonder if like my account from my PlayStation, like all the data from that Battlefront game
will roll over.
Probably won't, because I don't have a digital version. But like if it did, that'd be really dope, because I had a maxed out Darth Vader that just wrecked fools. Just wrecked them. And like ruined a lot of days. And I
made a lot of grade school kids cry.
Yeah, it'd be really hard for me to like, I mean, there were a lot of days I was grinding where I had like triple XP. And like random, like, no, it's like the day after Thanksgiving. Sorry, family.
Bye. Priorities.
I gotta level up Vader and Grievous today. All right,
Vader's so my father now.
So when you great, now I'm gonna follow the Luke trope and be this really vanilla character in my life. All right, so when you play, who do you play as? Like, I know, do you prefer
who do
rebels,
you main?
Separatists? Yeah, what's your main? Heavies. What do you do?
Snipers, pretty much snipers only. But I'm not a camper. That's I have to make that distinction, because the campers are really annoying and objectively bad in this game, because you have to be aggressive to win. I'm the kind of sniper that runs around corners, you jump, and you no scope people.
Oh,
it's friggin' sick. He's a team player, because
and everyone thinks that you're using an aimbot.
Yeah, like people get accused of cheating all the time. Like, no, I'm just sick.
Yeah.
That's like me in Fortnite with Boba. I literally walk around with a sniper, no scope. I think I won a game last week where like someone was running at me point blank, and I just like pulled the trigger right in this person's face. And I was like, there was nothing, and with the sniper rifles, like there's nothing more satisfying, because then they die in Fortnite, it goes slow-mo. And I'm like,
all this stuff goes everywhere.
I'm like, this was the most satisfying way to win any game ever. So I feel you there. Do you prefer rebels? Like, do you prefer like droids?
I role play as Blop, actually, in my mind. So I love playing as the droids. And I also love the commando droid. He's my favorite reinforcement. So the droids are my favorite to play as.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
All right. Yep. All right. So what's number 5?
Number 5 is Andor. I think there's not really too much more to be said about it, but I think we need more non-Star Wars fans directing Star Wars. I think it's great when you can tell the passions coming through, but Andor is still able to have all those lore connections. There's enough staff at Lucasfilm to kind of fill in those gaps, and you just have someone that's going to tell a good story. That's more important than anything.
I do think Andor changed Star Wars forever.
And what's crazy is that it doesn't have any use of the Force, and it doesn't have any lightsabers. Like, it's essentially the most non-Star Warsy piece of content that has come out.
No Mandalorians.
But it just grips you in a way that I think Star Wars fans have been wanting something like this, but they haven't been able to like articulate it before. And Tony Gilroy just like really knocked it out of the park with his storytelling.
Well, it's so cool because we start with like the main antagonists, Cyril and Sergeant Linus Musk. And you can tell like as like this thing goes from like this small band of whatever, like outlaws, to like, oh hey, what they end up doing warrants the attention of Darth Vader in Rogue One. And so it's like, it's cool to know that's the end, and it's gonna warrant like Palpatine's attention and everything else. So
I saw a TikTok a couple of days ago that said that someone was rewatching Andor, but entirely like black and white, and how much that like creates an even heavier feel and emotion behind all of it. Because I mean, the show is just really well photographed across the board. And when I saw just clips of it in entire black and white, I was like, wow, this feels even more impactful. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Got to do that.
I mean, the other thing too, the more I think about that show, the more I can't get over what's her the actress who plays
Deidre?
No, she was good, but I'm talking about
Bix?
No, redheaded lady.
Oh, Mon Mothma, yeah.
Yes. Man, every time I think about that performance, I'm like, that's what really just, she crushed it for me. Her and Andy Serkis together. I'm like, And the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean who's
Stellan
Orlando Bloom's
Skarsgård.
dad. Oh man.
Oh yeah. I mean that whole show really did have acting where we had a lot of criticisms about Ahsoka not like having the same like emotional pull. Andor, I feel like every actor delivered, and I know we talked about the main character Diego Luna. You didn't feel like his character brought out a whole lot, but that was sort of the nuance of him that I loved about Andor.
He's a man in hiding. Yeah,
it's interesting. We see here in the comments, KG said she loves black and white photography as a way of cutting out distractions, and all of her clients get photos in black and white as well as color. Awesome. I don't know. I have a tough time with it. I just love, and I hear what people are saying about cutting out color, but it's like one of the reasons I love things like Finding Nemo. Just the color. Like I can just sit back and watch that thing on mute. Just to appreciate the animation and color and everything. And like, I don't know. I'm sure there's merit. I'm just not much of a black and white. My wife loves classic films with Cary Grant and all sorts of folks. And it's like, it'd just be so much better.
So much more dramatic.
It is so much more dramatic.
Okay, where are we at? 6?
Yeah.
6. Jedi Survivor. I only played it once.
No spoilers.
Both of those games, I'll try very hard not to. I played both of them just once, and they both just blew me away, and that's how I want to do it. The third one's going to come out, play it once, never touch it again. But I think it's like by far the most interesting storyline happening right now. Where it's leading into is incredible. It's got great villains, good sidekicks, really lovable heroes and villains on both sides. It's just, Jedi Survivor.
I've heard that it starts to bring in some of the High Republic lore into the current stuff, and I don't know exactly what that is yet, but I'm really excited to hear more about it. So I will be playing it at some point, and I should stream it while I do it.
Get a PlayStation 5.
But the thing is like I will play it on the easiest mode because Fallen Order was hard. Okay, I want to like play the story. I don't want to get my butt kicked.
Yeah, the only problem is that it becomes 90% platforming if you have it on the easiest mode. But that's how I did it too, because I wanted it to be like a cinematic experience. That's what it's called, is cinematic mode.
Truly, yeah, that's what
I know I could beat this game, but it would take me like twice as long if I played it on hard. So like I don't feel bad about that at all.
I'm always on medium. Just want to be able to get through it, but I want to enjoy myself. And then like maybe round 2, when I actually understand all the remotes and everything, all right, I'll come back. Hard. See, what I don't like about hard mode though is it's like, okay, I understand one shot kills me. That's fine.
But one shot doesn't kill you.
Yeah, that's where it's like, no, this is dumb. Like that's what I would hope medium. Is that? Yeah, it's like, all right, both sides. If I cut you with a lightsaber and you're like, haha, this isn't Beskar armor, but that does nothing. Get at me 30 more times. That's like, I don't know. I would love a game like when you fight like the Ninth Sister or any of them. You have to cut them like 50,000 times to bring down their health. It's like, how about we make a game where it's just hard to land that hit?
Yeah.
Because once you get that hit, they're done.
Yeah.
That's how
that
it
makes
should
sense.
be. Yeah, same both ways. Like that's actual hard mode for me. One-on-one everything. So anyway, all right. What's number 7?
Number 7 is Return of the Jedi. And this is one that gets a huge bump on my personal list because I think it objectively has the worst dialogue in the entire series. It is really hard to get through some of those Endor scenes. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
but like the Jabba sequence, if you just view it as like a little Flash Gordon episode, is just incredible. It has Jabba's also like a top character for me just in terms of design and execution and how they brought that guy to life. Love that man. But like, and then the Battle of Endor is also one of my favorite score moments. Just that whole battle is just, I think, my favorite battle in the whole series, and the greatest lightsaber duel, the confrontation between Vader and Palpatine and Luke is just so well done. It's so dark and so beautiful, so poetic.
It really is.
It's always an emotional gut punch when Luke like, I famously don't really care for Luke Skywalker, but when he says, "I'm a Jedi, like my father before me,"
never gets old.
Kills me.
Yeah,
so good.
I really do. I've always hated
Actually,
him.
I'm wearing my Return of the Jedi.
You are. Look at the
shirt
swag.
right now from Celebration.
I'll never get over him throwing away his lightsaber though in front of Palpatine. I'm like, whatever happens at this point, like you have it coming.
Yeah.
like literally, like Obi-Wan numerous times. This weapon is your life. like, always, like, and then and then twice, like he just chucks it. Like he does it there, he does it on whatever on that planet in The Force Awakens, or this guy just throws.
Being a Jedi is about more than lightsabers. Ahsoka says that too. It's about more than lightsabers.
He was
about
just
lifting
hoping.
Rocks.
He was just hoping that Palpatine, like, he didn't know anything about Force lightning.
I don't think he knew. If he knew that was coming, I think he would have held on to that lightsaber.
He's like, I'm just gonna disregard this and whatever. I would love though if that scene were like remade with like modern cinematography, because yes, it's really, really good, but I just think like 80s cinematography doesn't quite do it justice for how dramatic that moment really was. Music's great.
Yeah, I think that's more of an issue of the director not being as good as Irvin Kershner. Like Empire Strikes Back, you compare very similar shots between them. Empire Strikes Back like looks like a painting. It looks like a masterpiece, and Return of the Jedi cinematography really isn't there.
Yeah.
It's a little more rushed production-wise, and there's a lot going on in George Lucas's personal life. So I think that's why it suffered. But
why did George Lucas not just bring back Irvin Kershner for Return of the Jedi?
I think the fans and he probably wanted more of a return to what the original was in terms of the tone, and just make it fun, make it for kids again. As fun as I think Empire is fun. It's got a lot of humor in it, but I think it was a good choice to kind of wrap it up, bring it full circle with like the hopeful kind of message that A New Hope has.
Okay. All right. What's number 8?
Number 8 is A New Hope. And I think it's immaculate filmmaking, but it's kind of a rough movie. And it was saved in editing, that's for sure. But like if you hear a lot of the behind the scenes about the production, it was a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
It came out pretty good. I think it could still have been a lot better if they had just, I don't know, if things had gone differently. But yeah, A New Hope it's still super enjoyable, super fun. It's got love the swashbuckling and the romanticism of it. It's great.
Changed cinema.
It did
forever.
It really did.
Yeah. And we don't have really
cultural reset. Talk about cultural reset.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
Yeah. And that's why it's funny to talk to like Gen Xers and baby boomers about that film, where they're like, oh, it's like A++. And then you talk to millennials and you're like, yeah, especially on the younger side, and Gen Z, you're like,
it started something.
Yeah. It's like, it's enjoyable. Like we're all, I don't know many people that are like, that sucked. No, it's like, that was fun.
One of my friends doesn't like it. He thinks it's got horrible pacing. I'm like,
it does.
Considering what they had to work with, like it's I don't know, it's still pretty upbeat and intense, I think. But it's somewhere, I don't know. Not perfect, but it's I love that movie so much.
It definitely feels like an episode of Star Trek more than Star Wars for me, which it is Star Wars. It is the Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it feels like, because it's so like wrapped up in its own story and it's one singular thing. And again, we go into like the swashbuckling and some sci-fi and, whereas now what you come to think of Star Wars is like this big thing with all of these like different technical details from the immersive universe and lore and all this stuff that we have to bake into it to make it Star Wars. Whereas that was just like, we're going to tell an interesting story, not give a lot of explanation on anything, and hope you like it.
And while we're on the topic, if you haven't had the chance to watch the Industrial Light and Magic documentary on Disney Plus, that is so good. As much as I like, New Hope, it's okay movie for me. But seeing them behind the scenes, the technology and the geniuses that had to like create the technology while making the film just blows my mind. It is one of the coolest documentaries of movie magic ever.
I considered putting that documentary in this list, as well as Empire of Dreams.
Yes,
because I think they're valid parts of Star Wars media.
Yeah.
They're influential pieces of Star Wars media to me, especially Empire of Dreams, because it came out when I was a little kid. I watched that so much. But both of them are on Disney Plus. Please go watch them.
Yes.
It'll deepen your appreciation for the movies.
Also, I just have to say, I'm decked out in Broncos gear. We're watching the game as Broncos are playing Chiefs right now, and the Broncos just got an interception in the end zone off Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh.
So, like, Amanda, I know you follow soccer, but in real football, that's like a big, like a big deal that we just got to pick off Patrick Mahomes. Anyway, so Ryan, what's number 8 for you?
The Texas Longhorns. Speaking of football, now I'm just gonna be thinking about football. Number 8.
They're a good team right now too. We're getting to know Brian. You like Texas Longhorn football?
I do. A little too much.
Do you love it though?
I love it. It's the other half of my personality, other than Star Wars. Yeah.
What makes the Longhorns so special that they warrant their own network?
Oh, money. But
money.
What makes
it special
literally. To me, yeah. In fact, they're dismantling it now because they're going to the SEC. But
let's get back to the ranking.
The other thing.
Yeah,
all right.
So we're at number 9. I think.
Number
New
9.
Hope was 8. Number 9 for me is Bad Batch. I think it is the best of the Clone Wars and the best of the Rebels combined, and I think season 3 is going to bump it up even more for me. And I will take that opinion to the grave. I love the Bad Batch.
Interesting.
I think the animation is great. The filmmaking is great. Like the lighting, the environments.
You have Bad Batch above Last Jedi?
Just above it, actually. Yeah.
You have it above. You don't have it above Revenge
of the Clone Wars.
Okay, well that's fair. You have it above Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
You have it above. You don't have it above any of the originals, so that's good. You do have it above Force Awakens, though.
Yes, Force Awakens is actually really low, like shockingly low for
Spoiler
how much
alert.
I love that movie. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow.
So number 10 is then
Number
is that mean The Last Jedi?
Yeah, I think it's the only movie to really state Star Wars's philosophy clearly and say it deeply. It's the only. Borderline the only Star Wars movie to say anything interesting at all.
Thank you. I think of that scene with Luke and Force Ghost Yoda, and that is just like that showed me that Rian Johnson understands Star Wars. The "we are what they grow beyond" is just so impactful.
It's kind of a
theme
metaphor
of
for
mistakes and failure, all of that.
Yeah, and I think where a lot of The Last Jedi goes wrong is actually trying to correct the mistakes of Force Awakens, or trying to answer the complaints about The Force Awakens. Just like how The Force Awakens flaws can all be traced back to complaints about the prequels. I think Disney's biggest issue is that they're a little overreactive. Too much.
I think that's going to change now that Bob Iger's back, and
you have so much faith in him for no reason.
I do. I mean, I think they're gonna.
He was the one that said that all of the writers should lose their homes. So I wouldn't trust him.
He spoke at my commencement for graduation at UT, actually. But yeah,
what will UT's so extra with everything? Why? Why?
Money.
Money.
Yeah, money.
Money, please.
They have all of the money. Matthew McConaughey. Well, Nebraska, we have Dwayne Wade now, so that's. That's what we got. Gabrielle Union. That's all we got here. And corn. All right. So what's number 11?
Tales of the Jedi. I don't understand how y'all rank it so low. I think it is. Yeah, it's like short episodes. They're pretty concise, but I think they're really well produced. And I think Dooku's one of my other favorite characters, one that I relate to a lot. I think he was totally wasted in Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
It's my biggest complaint of it is that he should have been there for half the movie.
Oh yeah.
To challenge Anakin a little more, but Tales of the Jedi, I think Ahsoka's journey in that is good, and Duke, just both of them are just so beautifully written, and it's Tales of the Jedi is great.
Yes, I think it's just rated so low because we have not a lot of content to go off of, but I am in total agreement. That is more content that I want to see, especially the backstory of Dooku and the backstory of Ahsoka, and how they're kind of told in a trilogy of episodes. Genius. Yeah. And I know we're supposed to get a season 2. I don't know if that's been delayed because of the strikes, but I am very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm hoping for Balin in season 2. I hope that's how they could wrap up or continue the Mortis arc.
Yes.
Honestly, you could see him kind of discovering it in the Clone Wars or hearing about Anakin and Ahsoka's experience, and then you could see him kind of diving into it sometime in between the original trilogy, and then last episode could be him actually on Peridia going to figure out what's going down.
You don't think they would wrap that up in like some Ahsoka season 2, or
I don't think they'll recast him in live action. I don't think they have the guts to do that for any characters. I think the most likely thing is a book. That seems like the most likely solution, but I'm hoping for a Tales of the Jedi arc.
I mean, it makes so much sense. I mean, I know Disney doesn't do it, but also like they didn't do it for like a lot of the iconic characters, but a guy that, which honestly, by the way, that was probably one of the biggest sins, and that's why I really just dinged the end of Ahsoka so much, because the beginning was so interesting, and especially through the midway point. But then you had these two iconic characters with Balin and Shin Hati, who were just like, all right, we're not going to do anything with you. Like,
we're still just setting something up, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no point in these characters. It was such a weird, enjoyable, but weird story that if there was like elements just moved around a bit, it would have, I think, been a lot better. But okay, what's number 12? Is that what we're on?
Yeah, 12 is the Clone Wars for me. It's got some great arcs. I think that's what most people remember. I think they kind of look through it with rose-tinted glasses a little bit, though, because a lot of those episodes and arcs are just not for me. That's, I guess, the best way I can put it.
They're for kids.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, I was a kid when it was coming up, but even then, I was still just like not interested in any of like the Jar Jar stuff or even the droid stuff. I just didn't like as much as seeing the droids on the big screen.
Yeah.
All right, next one up.
Tear through them. Yeah. Next one is the Attack of the Clones. I love Attack of the Clones, and I put it just below Clone Wars because Clone Wars is kind of what makes it a lot better for me. The prequels overall.
Definitely. Yeah. I totally agree with that, because it wasn't until after I watched the Clone Wars that I started to like Attack of the Clones more, because it felt like it gave emotional context to that we were missing in the films.
Yeah, and made the characters fun and interesting. And I really think there's only a couple bad scenes, only a couple lines of bad dialogue in that movie, and it's actually largely really well made.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
Yeah, totally. I don't agree, but that's okay. All right, next one.
Fallen Order. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know. It's solid. It didn't blow me away as much as the second one did, but great story, great gameplay. It paved the way for a really great trilogy. What's going to be one of the best trilogies in Star Wars.
Okay. All right. I think for the rest of this, just go down the list. Read through them out. Yep.
Okay. All right. We got Star Wars Visions is next. There's an asterisk there because it's not canon. But I did like Visions season 1 a lot more than season 2.
Really? Yeah. I liked season 2 more than season 1.
16, we got Phantom Menace on its own, super fun, horrible prequel. Like all the worst sins of a prequel were committed, but super fun. Super fun movie on its own. Just below that is Kenobi. I think it blends so perfectly well with A New Hope. And I love Little Leia. I think they did so much fun stuff, even though I would have done a couple things differently. Little Leia was a highlight, and I think it parallels Phantom Menace in a lot of cool ways. So they're next to each other.
Yeah.
18 is Mando. Season 3 honestly brought it down so hard.
I know that's something you agree with.
Great. Yeah, season 3 kind of suffered the same thing as Ahsoka. It's just like, what are they building to? And then all the answers we got were just boring. 19, Star Wars Squadrons. It's something I almost forgot about because I only played it, around launch. It could have been incredible. It could have had this great esports run. I actually did start an esports event for it with some other people that it actually got off the ground, did pretty good. Just didn't, stick around. And we need more focused games like Squadrons. That's just one game mode. Just do it really well. It's the opposite of Battlefront tries to do everything, but Squadrons does fighters perfectly.
Yeah.
Number 20, Rise of Skywalker. I think with 20 to 30 minutes of screen time, it's a masterpiece. I think the movie was butchered in editing. It's a rushed, jumbled mess, but it has to be 3 movies at once, and it actually juggles those priorities really well of having to tie in the whole saga, having to justify the sequels, and be its own story. Rise of Skywalker did incredibly well given the the runtime that whoever Disney Bob Iger forced on them. I don't know who's to blame, but we need the deleted scenes released.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
the fan edits. 21 Force Awakens. I hate to say it. It's just because it's just such an incredibly safe movie. It's fun and it's the best movie theater experience I've ever had. But it still left me feeling like Ahsoka was just like they had so many opportunities to do something interesting, and they just kind of shied away from it.
That's my favorite Star Wars movie.
I hate to say it. Yeah, I know it is.
Question: if this one change would have been made to Force Awakens, would it have been enough? And that is if Finn would have actually wielded the lightsaber at the end of Force Awakens.
He did. He had a whole duel. He just lost.
Yeah.
I know, but he was like reaching for it, and then he uses the. I mean, like if he would have used
if you're
the
saying
Force.
he was the Force user
right?
Instead of Rey.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but he is in Rise of Skywalker. They have hints throughout. He's definitely underused as a Jedi, which I'm hoping they change in the future. But yeah, Finn would have made the sequels a lot more interesting if he had been more of a Jedi character.
More of a character, period.
Yeah.
I don't hate Rey, but I do think Finn could have used a lot more.
Yeah.
Underrated actor for sure.
Yeah, Rey is just like Russell Wilson with 17 seconds left for the Broncos as he's getting ready to throw it, and someone pops it out and he just fumbles it. And it's right there. It's right there, Russell. Just finish the game. That's Rey. Just can't finish. It's not her fault.
What are you going to do? Maybe episode 10 will be better.
Yeah, maybe.
Or if they do an animated show. I hope they do an animated show after episode 9.
Draft a younger quarterback.
Should we go on 22?
22.
22. Okay, so really up until 21, I do have a big soft spot in my heart for everything above this. I do love Force Awakens, and I love something about all of those. It's here where it kind of gets a little antagonistic. 22 is Ahsoka. I don't think it's horrible, so it's at the top of my antagonistic list. But the last 3 episodes were just 3 episodes of straight missed opportunities of completely. So you could have done so much design-wise and environment-wise on Peridia, and there's some cool things. I do love the zombie. Sorry, are we spoiling?
Yeah,
I think we're past the spoiler ban. Yeah. But gosh, there was I immediately closed the episode and thought of like 5 things that could have made it just so much more interesting. Sorry, Ahsoka. 23 is Resistance, which is I think it's actually not that bad. It's obviously made for a much younger audience than the Clone Wars, and I do like how it supplements the sequel trilogy, and we need a lot more of that.
Mm-hmm.
In that time period. Yeah. So Resistance 23, 24, Book of Boba Fett. Boring plot. I do like Boba's character, but like really boring answers to everything, and all the cool stuff that they introduced was just kind of like the huts and just kind of wasted as well. Just like they're thrown in there obviously just to look cool, and they don't have any relevance or any impact on the character's journey. So I love the Native American philosophy. I love the Tuskens. I love a lot about Boba. And if you cut out all the modern stuff, honestly, if you just have the Tusken stuff, I think it's a great show.
Which is really unfortunate because I think if you wouldn't have gone back and forth with the dream so much, that would have been one really nice thing. And 2, like with the modern stuff, if they would have just done, a better job, period, with any of it, like then
just
generally
a
better job, which is so weird because I don't know many shows where I'm like, I love this half, and this half is garbage.
KG is in the comments saying, I enjoyed Book of Boba Fett other than what Robbie Rod did.
Who was Robbie Rod?
Robert Rodriguez.
Oh.
Robbie Rod.
I've got my own take on that. You can go back.
You can go back and listen to it.
Yeah. I'm a little intense on that day, but
all right. How many more do we have left, Brian?
Just one. My least favorite piece of Star Wars media is Battlefront 1. EA's Battlefront 1. It's not even a full game without the DLC. So you have to pay $120 just to play the full game. And even then, the gameplay kind of sucks. The lightsaber combat is awful. There's very few characters. Just focusing on the original trilogy, I think they still dropped the ball content wise. It's maybe a good game with DLC. I don't know. I played it a bit because it's what we had at the time, but it shouldn't be called a Battlefront game. It has no right to call itself Battlefront.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I wasn't thinking of that one. I was thinking of the original Battlefront.
Oh, yeah.
And I
love
was
that
like,
one.
wow, this is kind
That's
of. I was like, I don't even remember lightsaber combat in that one. Yes,
No.
that EA. Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan of that
Mhm.
Battlefront game. So, well, Brian, we got a lot of amazing rankings from you from your list. The audience got to know you today about your love for Star Wars and UT. Before we jump, we do need to go into one hot take I have.
Okay.
I think of all of the co-hosts we've had to this point, I think Brian is going to offer the hottest. What are you pointing yourself for?
Because I'm the best.
You didn't even finish.
I didn't let you finish. I was like, you're going to talk about me, right?
Listen, yeah, narcissist.
We'll get there.
All I'm saying is, I think he's going to have the hottest takes of anybody yet. Just of anyone we've had on.
Good, we need that.
I've got a feeling that this guy's takes, he's going to be like ruffling feathers.
Good.
Nothing.
I do disagree a lot with other Star Wars fans, I will say, and that's why I love this show.
Which makes you a true
place where we
fan.
can respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
Yes, and I will tell you, I learned a lot about the Star Wars community on this show. I thought Christian is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. And I remember when he said something was filler once, just one time. We were getting phone calls. Like,
oh, no.
You're getting doxxed.
Angry.
Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah, they're like, you can't say that. You can't say something in Star Wars is filler. Like, that disrespects the writers. That disrespects, like, wow. So we learned there's a lot of rules here, and I feel like Brian's like, and Christian was nice, like, yeah, whatever. But Brian's like, I feel like he's gonna be like, I'm gonna take this sledgehammer, everything you know and love, and I'm gonna just, without any empathy, American Psycho this thing, and just destroy it intentionally. I get that vibe.
I would love to do that, but I also love something about all of this is kind of where I'm at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the main point of this show, is that we all love Star Wars, and even when we do hate it, we still love it.
But the thing is, there's a lot of folks out there who will, whether they do or don't like something, they're just going to jump on the agree bandwagon, which is what this show is. Look, that's fine. If you want to agree that everything's great, fine and dandy, that's fine. We're not hating. But what I am saying is this show, we're trying to take things from a critical lens. And I will say, not a lot of Star Wars fans I know can do that, whether they are overcritical.
And it's
like
just a hate fest.
It's just a hate fest because it's not anything besides the originals. Or they or they love it all. Whereas I feel like Brian's just like, he's like Thor walking around with millionaire. He's walking around with that, being like, whatever this hits is what it hits. I'm not sorry.
No sympathy.
Yeah.
I'm done feeling sorry. I'm done apologizing for my opinions.
Good.
I'm here to
defend a safe place for you. Until you say something's filler, this is a safe place for you.
Yeah.
I don't believe in filler. I don't believe filler exists.
I mean, as we've mentioned before, if you just have a patty and a burger, that's a boring sandwich. You need filler. Filler is important.
Yeah. Who makes the best burger, Brian? Because you're in Texas. And that there's a lot of answers.
I gotta shill P. Terry's. P. Terry's is our local version of In-N-Out. It's literally started by a guy that was from In-N-Out's headquarters early on, and it's a very similar approach. But I think their fries, their shakes are so much better. The burgers are very similar quality. It just depends on personal preference, honestly.
Sounds like copyright infringement.
I was gonna say I need to try that. I grew up in San Antonio. I don't remember that burger joint, so I'll have to try that.
I think they're mostly in Austin. Yeah.
Okay, because you do have In-N-Out now.
We do, a lot of them. I love In-N-Out too, I will say, but P. Terry's is
over Whataburger.
Place.
Really?
It's like comparing apples and oranges. I love a lot about Whataburger. Love a lot about In-N-Out. Whataburger's got the best breakfast in the fast food world. Whataburger's breakfast is really what drives it home for me. But yeah, In-N-Out is quality wise, it's just objectively true that
you don't have Whataburger here.
We don't have Whataburger here. What we're gonna do? We're gonna do a Duel of the Ranks road trip somewhere, maybe Austin, and we're just gonna get ourselves down there, and we're gonna try P. Terry's, Whataburger, In-N-Out, and we're gonna have a ranking. Of burgers. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm down. And Brian, well, his back will be healed, and he'll drive us around because he's the best driver we know.
Best driver in Texas.
Yeah. Or maybe we shouldn't. Maybe the accidents have piled up so much that we're like, you know
He's
what?
traumatized.
I'm done
with
with
Uber.
Uber.
Take the bus now.
Yeah, I'm done with Uber and my car is broken down, so it'll be a while before I can drive anyone. But my back's probably never gonna heal, so that's I just got to deal with that.
So on this week's episode,
great way to end it.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, listeners, for joining us for this week's episode
and
of
welcoming Brian.
I feel so welcomed. Thank you, guys. I've been appreciating all the feedback and the support from y'all. It's been great.
Yes, 100%. We're so freaking excited to have you. We're going to be going on a great journey with you over the next few years. Who knows? Maybe there's more celebrations in our future. Maybe there's more trips in our future. But one thing's for sure, we're going to be ranking a lot of Star Wars content. I think we've got a really amazing DoTR crew who can do that with you. If you love our show, go out, support us. Go buy some merch from the website. That stuff's out there. If you want more information about Duel of the Ranks, guess what? We have that website I just mentioned. We also have, really just Google Duel of the Ranks. You'll find a bunch of stuff about what we're doing. We love doing the show. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Duel of the Ranks as we are jumping back into the Clone Wars. So we'll see you then.